I had a kind of unique career because I didn't start until my fifth year when I finally got my opportunity. I kind of had to condense all the growing pains that you go through, like condense that into one season. I think I really started playing to a level that I was happier with. That makes sense towards the end of the season.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Call The Huddle podcast. Today's episode, I got a chance to talk with former Northwestern tight end Lawson Albright ahead of the 2026 NFL Draft. Lawson spent 5 years with the Wildcats and put up career high numbers as a senior before declaring for April's NFL Draft. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and let's get to it. Who do you think's the GOAT tight end, the greatest of all time, in your opinion?
I grew up watching Rob Gronkowski, and he was kind of the one that kind of got me to fall in love with the position early on. So I would say him.
That's cool. Yeah. I had a debate on here, like I do all the time with him or Travis Kelsey. But the positions changed so much. And like I had to go back and watch some Gronk, and he was a blocker, like he was dominant, like he changed his position a lot in a lot of ways, and the positions changed so much. So much over the last like 5 years even.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Uh First one I kinda wanna go into. Tell me like uh first off, like what's one position you'd play other than tight end, Lawson?
Sure. So, I mean, in high school, I played a little bit of defense too. I loved playing DN as well. I think that's a great position. But since I've been at Northwestern, I've played a lot of special teams early on in my career, and then I also was a long snapper in middle school and high school. So, like my first 2 years at Northwestern, I was the backup long snapper. So, I love to play on the field, whatever position I can get on. So, I always just found ways to utilize my skill set to get on the field.
That's awesome. Uh, Growing up, like you mentioned, you grew up watching Gronk. Like, were you more NFL or college ball? Like, as a fan growing up.
I think I've always been more NFL football. Which like most people I feel like disagree with me. They always say college football is better watching. I love watching college football too, but I don't know what it was. Like I always just had an appreciation for NFL growing up because it's always so evenly competitively matched and it's like the best of the best. And I love like the way they have NFL Red Zone set up too. You can just be glued to your couch all day if you let it. So yeah.
Right. I like asking that question. Like, I feel like I was kind of the same growing up, like a lot of NFL. But I know a lot of people, like you mentioned, like lean, like just watch college football, and like for a lot of good reasons, it's
Right.
excitement.
Right.
But I always even say to my wife, my favorite type of football game is like two great coaches, where it's like even like a 3-3-0 game, like 6-3, like low defense games. Like I love just like tit for tat, like chess matches. And I feel like football is different in that way too. You don't get those in other sports, like as chess like oriented, like kind of.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how much like strategy goes into football. Like that don't play the sport. I always try to explain that to people that are kind of football fans or kind of not. It's like the more you understand, the more you realize how much, like you were saying, chess goes into it, strategy. Like I think there's that game between Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick where they were just like finding loopholes in the rules for 10 minutes straight. And I
Yeah,
don't think you get that in a lot of sports.
definitely. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, you got like a favorite food or like a favorite meal, Lawson?
Right now I've been eating a ton of chicken, just trying to eat clean. So I do like chicken, and it's getting a little old. I think like I love pizza, really. Like I remember like in high school after games, I would order me and my buddies would get like a Domino's pizza, and I think I could eat that all day as like a cheat meal or something. So, and
Right.
there's a lot of good pizza spots around Chicago. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
for sure. That's cool. I know like for like obviously Northwestern's like field is obviously like one of the most iconic like in all of the country.
Mhm.
Uh, what are some of the best that you've gotten to see like over your time playing football? Like best environments, best stadiums, like anything.
Yeah, man, I think there's been a ton playing in the Big Ten. I've been lucky, like, and especially with the conference realignments. Like now we play. I think we played at USC this year. So that was my first time in the state of California. That was a cool stadium. We played at Washington in 2024. That was a really cool stadium too, right on the ocean. Um, and I love like the traditional Big Ten teams stadiums. Like Wisconsin's been a cool place to play at Iowa. Um, we won at Penn State this year. Nebraska is probably the loudest place I've ever played. It's a really cool atmosphere there. I think I saw they've sold out every home football game since like the 1960s. So I think there's been a lot of cool places. Big Ten has a lot of like tradition in their stadiums too, so that's been an awesome experience.
Yeah, like you said, the tradition, like just they're all they have tradition. That's like the coolest thing. Uh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What do you study in that, or what did you study at Northwestern? Like, what was your degree in?
Yeah, so undergrad I studied learning and organizational change with a minor in business. I knew I wanted to do like something business related, and at a liberal arts school, that was the closest thing they had to a business major was learning and organizational change. It's kind of like a consulting degree, if you will. Like you learn
Mhm.
about cultures, you learn about leadership, team dynamics, and stuff. Pretty applicable to football too. So I was able to use a lot of examples in that, and like group projects and stuff.
Yeah,
And currently, right now, I'm actually working on a master's in the business school. So
nice.
just a master's in management, just a general master's in management. So just business route.
Cool. That's fun. That's super cool. You're going for your master's too. Like, with that being said, like going for your master's, like what's been your biggest takeaway? Like in terms of like how does it change like that mindset? Like how do you have that mindset? Like what's the biggest thing been?
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It's a huge commitment, especially right now. Like I'm training to go to the NFL, and on top of it, I'm taking master's classes.
Hmm.
But it's really just you gotta have the discipline to, be on top of your stuff, prioritize the most important things. Like football comes first, and then you prioritize classes, being on top of that, and then whatever's left over, you get to some free time. But it's really just applying the mindset that you have for football to classes, and then, you kind of surprise yourself how well you can do against full-time students, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Uh, like I want to talk about your career after this last one a lot. Like jump into your career at Northwestern and talk about how you got there and like what everything. But last one I got for you. Who are some of the best players you played with and against, like that stand out, like athletes, like players altogether?
Some of the guys I've played with that are really good. I mean, some of them in the NFL, like Peter Skronsky, Adetomo Adebawore. Like I was a younger player, and he's a D tackle defensive end, and I was on scout team, and it was just like impossible to go against that guy. And it's no surprise that he's in the NFL now. And Cam Mitchell's good. Some of the guys in the tight end room that I've gotten to play with, Thomas Court and Marshall Lang. And then like guys we've played against, Carl Loftus with the Chiefs. I remember we played against him my freshman year, and he just stood out as a guy that was just pretty dominant force. Um, Penn State, their DNs this year were solid, very good players. And then I think in the Big Ten every week we played really stout defensive end linebackers. So yeah,
It's cool. That's awesome. The last one I think I wanted to hit on a little bit. I went to Penn State, so like my wife has season tickets.
hmm
I wasn't at the game this year, the Northwestern game,
yeah.
but I heard it was crazy. No, no, especially for our side. Like, but I know it was a big game for you guys. I heard who I thought I heard Preston talk about it a little bit. I heard some other guys on the team talk a lot about it. But just tell me, like, what do you remember from that game specifically? Like, just one out of the many games you had this year. What do you remember from that going there to Happy Valley?
I remember like building up into the game. We kind of had a lot of confidence, so we were really loose pregame. And it was kind of like we had nothing to lose, but we fully expected to win that game. I remember the confidence level being high, and I just remember how much of a grind that game was. Because I mean, we ran the ball really well overall. That was kind of one of the identities on our offense of just going in there as a tight end and throwing your face in there on gap schemes like play after play. I just remember by the end of the game that feeling when we basically ran the ball the 1 yard line and slid out. It was like really perfect ending for us, the way we play and our identity, and it was a good feeling. Everyone was super fired up, super juiced. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome. That was a big energy win. I know, and like you mentioned, like I know you're a big blocker. I know that was like ran all over him. That's fun. Um, so I know you're from North Carolina. Tell me, like, I guess first off, like, how did you get to Northwestern? Like, what was the decision like for you, like back in the day?
Yeah. I started getting recruited my junior year of high school, and I was always like familiar with ACC football because that's what I grew up watching. And I didn't really know much about the Big Ten. I didn't even really know anything about Northwestern. And I was lucky enough to have some visits lined up and have some options. And then COVID hit, and everything kind of shut down. And I had been in touch with a coach from Northwestern. He was my old tight ends coach that recruited me. He's since retired, but I knew they were a good school. And then I jumped on a Zoom call actually with Coach Pat Fitzgerald, old coach,
Hmm.
and with my parents. And I was just really impressed with the way he ran the program, the values he preached, and everything. And then I started doing more research, and I learned about kind of the history of Northwestern football. Especially recently, they've had a reputation for being like a really strong team in the Big Ten West. And then, the more I looked into it, the more sense it made for me. It's a good school. I knew I wanted to go to a good school to challenge myself and just take advantage of every opportunity that the game of football gives you. Um, it was Big Ten West school, which is a great conference for tight ends. And I actually I got to know a couple of the guys on the team and I really liked them. So it just made the perfect fit. Then, I actually drove up with my dad and my little brother from North Carolina during like the peak of COVID because I wanted to get eyes on it first and just have a feel for it. And then I
Oh,
committed. So yeah.
that's cool. That's awesome. Damn. And like I know life was crazy during COVID. Like I couldn't imagine like what it was like going through your commitment, having like that in the middle of your recruitment. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. And then like because I still had online classes, which were kind of a joke in high school at the time, but I remember like the coaches didn't really know what to do either, so they were just constantly
Yeah.
blowing up my phone. I was like, wow, like I need to make a decision soon, slow things down. So yeah, it was good.
Damn, that's awesome. Uh, and that's cool. Like I know that's awesome. You talking about Coach Fitzgerald. I've heard about like what kind of a leader he is, and I know Coach Braun kind of came in and you know had a lot of those same principles.
Yeah.
He's a cool leader to talk to. He's a cool person to not talk to listen to. Um, Tell me like what do you feel like Northwestern gave you most going into the next level of your life, the next chapter?
I think it just taught me like how to grow as a person. I think going to Northwestern and playing football there like is different. Like it's hard to play football there because you have a lot of responsibility on top of being a football player, and that doesn't take away from the fact that we have those goals and standards to be the best.
Hmm.
So I think just waking up early in the morning, practicing every day, and going through like a Big Ten schedule every year, and being coached really hard. We had good coaches. My time there was always really competitive during practices. Like we always had a really close relationships on our team, like a good culture. And I mean, that always stood out to like transfers that came in. They always mentioned that. So I think we always pushed ourselves to in the off season and during practices. There's always a lot of trash talking going on. So I think just like it really pushed me to become like the best football version of myself, best version of myself as a someone aspiring to have high success in the game of football. So I think it just pushed me and grew me and developed me in a lot of ways.
That's awesome. I think that the like I don't really like I said have any connection to you guys at all, but like the tight knitness of like your locker room and the team and just like on watching media day stuff like it all kind of pops out, stands out.
Yeah.
Definitely stands out. Uh, Tell me like I know you're a three sport athlete back in high school, baseball, basketball, like football.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you feel like that shows up today? Like how does that help you today? And what did you learn from that experience, like doing all three like year round?
Yeah, I think it just helped me become a better all-around athlete. Like it gave me a lot of like when I was younger, it gave me a lot of coordination, just going from a really skilled sport like baseball and even a little in basketball, obviously, and being able to apply what I learned in those sports to football, I just think made me a better athlete, taught me how to win in different ways, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I was always busy in high school. I always loved playing sports, and it just kept me really competitive growing up too. So I was able
Gotcha.
to use those skills, and I think it made me a better athlete by the time I got to college.
Right. That's kind of the same thing. Like I've always kind of said on here is like every level is every different season's like a reset. Like in terms of like what you got to learn, like how you compete. Uh, and that like teaches a lot. Obviously, like just as something that hones in how like the type of competitor you are. And that's super cool. Uh, so tell me like I guess going back to like this year, I guess like this past year, Northwestern. What do you feel like you're gonna remember most about the team and the season that you had?
I think I'm gonna remember, kind of proven a lot of people wrong. We were really written off beginning, and we finished 6-6, 7-6 after our bowl win. But like we were really in every single game we played except for one or two. Like we were really we were a pretty good team. We're a really good team, I'd like to say. And I think I just remember like the leadership we had on the team, the way that like the players like took control, especially in the off season and set high standards and just yeah, really just the standard for success. It was really high. It pushed us and, took us places like
Hmm.
that a lot of people didn't think we were able to go. Especially like you mentioned Preston, like coming in at quarterback. It was his first year and he was able to like step into a leadership role with other guys that had come into the program. And I think people had a lot of respect for the captains on our team. So yeah.
For sure. And like that was kind of like I said, like from afar, like I know the leadership and like just like how close you guys are stands out. But I know that Northwestern's kind of program is also like the staff has definitely leaned into like the portal, the transfer portal, and like kind of using it the right way and like bringing in the right guys and like having a quarterback like come in first year like with such a senior heavy team this year, like a leader heavy team. Like it was how do you feel like the transfer portal, like how do you feel like that's impacted your experience of college football and like how like all together?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because like now you see a huge deal with a lot of teams with like player retention. Like I think I've seen schools like post their best players being able to come back, which is like so different than when I was a freshman. And I think like all the guys in my class, like we got in at such an interesting time when like the NIL was just starting, the transfer portal was just starting. I mean, me specifically, like I stuck out all 5 years at the same place, and I think it helped. Like I got a better experience from that, I think, than like you see a lot of guys transferring different places every year. Not a knock on them, like everyone
Uh-huh.
has a different situation. But like me specifically, like we had a lot of seniority in the tight end room. I remember, and then like going into my fifth year, we got a tight end out of the portal, so I was pretty frustrated by that. I mean, he's a great dude, and he was a good tight end. Like nothing against him, but I just remember taking that pretty personally, and that really pushed me and helped me compete like every day, not taking any days off, pretty much. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it helped me grow. So
That's super interesting. And yeah, like I said, I appreciate that. Um and like I've talked to a lot of people, like obviously leadership grows too. Like you talked about Preston. Um but it is really interesting to see like the different coaching staffs that, knock it out of the park, get the right group of guys together, uh
yeah,
that know how to gel together because like it's so many different things that it takes.
yeah.
Um, so like I mean, Lawson, tell me like yeah, I know you had career highs all this year, this past year, career highs all across the board. In your opinion, like what was your biggest growth? What did you show most as a player this season?
Yeah. So I think like it was interesting for me. I had a kind of unique career because I didn't start until my fifth year. Kind of like what I was alluding to, all the seniority in the tight end room. Like the same guys that were kind of playing as I was a freshman were still playing when I was a senior. So that was when I finally got my opportunity. I kind of had to condense all the growing pains that you go through, like as a first year starter all in one. And like by the time you're in your last year start, I kind of had to condense that into one season. So I think like going from my first game to last game, like the level of confidence I had and just how comfortable I was in the game. And I think I really started playing to a level that I was happier with, if that makes sense, towards the end of the season. So I think just, yeah, just, you know, being okay. Like there's so many plays in a game and just being able to keep going and move on when something doesn't go your way. Whereas like if you're used to just always having the practice mindset, you can kind of get frustrated and then make a big deal about it and get back to it the next play. But in a game, just you can't lose a step. You got to keep going. So I think like just growing in a confidence level and all that. Just
Yeah,
was a good
that's
growth.
cool. Awesome. Like we talked about earlier, like I mentioned, like tight end, like I said, really tight end is such an awesome position. It's like literally one of my favorites. And like I said, it's tight ends are the smartest, one of the smartest positions. Like I said, coaches, like players, you really have to be like have good football awareness, like and like know all the situations, kind of just like know the game, like the basics of it, and everything that goes past that. Uh, there's different types of tight ends. Obviously, I know you're a bigger guy. How do you feel like you've gotten bigger as like better as a blocker? Since freshman year.
Yeah. So I mean, I came in like 220 pounds. as a freshman. So like the first step for me was putting on muscle and put on weight and getting stronger. And then like we have a great strength staff at Northwestern, so I was able to do that. And then
Yeah,
I think like really I had a position coach come in my fourth year that really helped me grow. He was really technique heavy, and that gave me a lot more skills and like tools in my toolbox as a blocker, just like my footwork, you want to fire off the ball more. Like, you can tense up and have that mentality to hit somebody, but if you don't have the right, technique to do it and you don't practice at it the right way, like you're never going to be good at it really. So, like my hand placement improved exponentially, my footwork, and those little details that you don't really think about if you don't play the sport. Like you realize how much of a difference that makes when you start getting better at those things. So really
yeah,
like my technique really helped me grow as a blocker.
yeah. And that's like that's all it is. Like you said, the technique and the form. That's awesome. How do
Mhm.
you think being like not starting until your fifth year? How do you feel like that helped you get better at the technique and like the details types of thing? Like how were you focusing on that, trying to get
Yeah.
better constantly?
But I think when you're in a position kind of like that, where like I remember I thought I could have played and been out there like my junior year, but I wasn't. So that was really frustrating for me. But I remember like I had to find ways that I could get like stand out as a player, if that makes sense. So like I really honed in on those really minute details and just to help me grow in areas that maybe other people don't have to focus on as much because they have like better natural ability as a receiver, something like that, if that makes sense. So I think, yeah, that helped me become just like more so technically sound and disciplined going into my fifth year, which helped me stand out as a tight end.
Yeah, other than like blocking or like even with blocking, I guess. But do you have an example of that? Like something that you really identified as like something that was special to you or like that would be like stand out, like make you stand out and like kind of, you've done it to like you're good at this point?
Sure. I mean, like, yeah, as a tight end, like kind of the versatility is the position. Like, you got to be able to block defensive ends, and they're always going to be bigger and stronger. Like, for the most part, they're going to be bigger, stronger than you. So, like, I was just able to be so efficient at a certain level, at a certain point. I got so efficient with my footwork where I could fire into it so fast and have good hand placement, pad level that, like, being able to, like, base block a six-side defensive end, like, I could hold that long enough and maybe gain an inch or two at the point of attack on a run play. Whereas like a lot of people that might have been, bigger or stronger than me could have gotten, you know, sized up against a defensive end like that and gotten pushed back a yard where I would have been able to just been so efficient with my technique where I could, win at the point of attack.
Uh-huh. Yeah, got you. And like I said, like I played tight end in high school, like it's a fun position. I know it's like also not always a fun position. You got to do the dirty work a lot, and
Yeah.
like be a team guy. That's awesome. Tell me like I know you were did all three growing up, all three sports. But football's gotten you this far, obviously. You're going to the next level. What do you
Mhm.
feel like football means to you? Like, what has it meant to you, and how has it impacted your life?
Well, I mean, it's given me so much opportunity. Like, it's given me a great education. It's given me great experiences. I've gotten to meet so many people. And, being able to do something you love every day and have a passion for is like pretty unique thing. Like I think a lot of people probably wish they had that in their life. Being able to be all in on something with a great group of people is just like super special and unique. And so it's meant like it's given me so many my relationships in my life and it's given me so many great experiences and such a drive for me in my life. So yeah, I've appreciated a lot of that for football.
That's cool. And I know you earlier you were talking about like how much you appreciate the strategy and like just like how different the sport is. But yeah, like everything about it. Like I appreciate that and like that you love all of it and everything. And that's great. Um, Tell me about like I got two more here before I let you go, Lawson. This has been a fun. You enjoying your time so far?
Yeah, having a good time.
That's cool. That's fun. My dogs are quiet so far. They haven't made a peep.
I know. I would have liked to hear him bark or something. What kind of
I
dog?
I got so they're two pit bull mixes. One one's a boy, one's a girl. They're both just like crazy energy. They're a lot of personality. They're I love them. They're like the best thing. Uh, they're not too much energy right now though. They're pretty good actually.
Nice.
I love them. They're yeah. And yeah, like I think my last interview, like they came upstairs like running around the house barking, and like I'd hear them from inside, and now they're in the room with me, and they're just like chilling. So I love it.
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah. Uh, what's been the favorite? What's been your favorite part of this whole process? Like I know there's so much change going on. Like it's been a lot since like what, like November, December, like the end of the season for you.
Sure.
What's been your favorite part of this whole process?
I think just like being so intentional about training at one thing, like a fewer things and specific, like narrowing the scope. Whereas like football, especially at tight end, like you have to train so many things. And sometimes like it'd be frustrating because you want to put more time and energy and effort into one thing and then you can't because you got to be able to do all this different things. But like the pro day training, like just being so intentional with training on like a narrow set of things, like and seeing the progress in those areas, I think has been super rewarding up to this point, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool when you can like take pride and like make that like your thing. Like like just like the numbers game. Like play that, and like that's how you improve and stuff. Like that's a good way to get growth for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, what do you have a like? What do you know what the pro day date is?
Yeah, it's March 17th for Northwestern.
17th. Got you. What types of things are you focusing on most for that? Like I know the 40 is important. I know. I mean, everything's important, especially like shuttle and stuff. But what are you focusing on the most?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything, but I think something that I want to be able to show at pro day is like my speed, you know, having I feel like I'm a good all-around tight end, but like just having lower production as a receiver this year, I want to be able to show that like I'm fast and athletic enough to catch the ball more and be utilized that way. So, yeah, I think that's something I've been focused on.
Great, that's awesome. Another thing I wanted to hit on before my last question, um, like obviously being a tight end, like how have your hands grown throughout the year, like in terms of catching balls, like being reliable? Has that been natural to you? Like how has that grown throughout your time playing football?
I think it's been a pretty natural for me, like playing three sports in high school, I
Yeah,
think, and growing up, I think really gave me such an ability to catch the ball and the confidence in that. Like I've always worked at it, but it's just always something that I've been pretty solid at in my time. So, I mean, even through my fifth year, just growing even more confidence through it. But yeah,
yeah, and I bet like an important thing when it comes to catching is like over your shoulder. Like I bet all that time like being like baseball, like basketball, catching boards and stuff. Like I bet you could high point and everything. I bet you could do the whole everything, the whole
yeah, like you
everything.
can track a high ball because like you played outfield in baseball and all those translatable skills. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Um, all right, I got the last one I got for you. It might be a lot kind of to think of. So you could take your time thinking if you need.
sure.
But kind of like tell me like thinking back to your career or like growing up playing football or sports or anything. What was kind of like the biggest adversity or challenge or something that you've overcame at all? And like how would you turn that into advice for someone else, like into upcoming players or like someone else like just like it all going through something?
Sure. I think for me, my journey, like, it came in college. Just like I kind of alluded to it earlier, just like knowing you can play and be out there, and
Hmm.
like even if like you're not at the point where you can dominate, like I can at least hold my own and be out there, but not having that opportunity, I think is super frustrating, especially like when you put everything into something and you still like fail, quote unquote. I think is a super hard thing that took me a little bit to like learn how to overcome and like really advice I always had was, or like that I would give that like kind of resonated with me was like, A, trust yourself because like just because you're not getting like physical results, like if you're honest with yourself and you're doing all the right things, like it will pay off eventually. So like just being able to, be ready for your opportunity and just going off that, like don't let other people put limits on you, just like you'll go as far as you allow yourself to go. So yeah.
That was awesome. That was great. I think that's awesome, Lawson. I appreciate that. And like you said, like being honest is like yeah, like trying to see yourself from third person, like trying to see like the like everything. I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. Uh, I appreciate it all the time. This has been fun. And like I said, good luck going the rest of the way. I know it's a lot of change. But in 2 months it'll be over. The next chapter will be started. But yeah, you got anything you want to say before I let you go?
No, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on. It's been good to do this interview. Yeah.